Every day, whether you notice or not, you're wrestling with a question that shapes your life more than you realize. Do you try to control everything, or do you learn to surrender? It's not a question you answer once. It shows up in the moments you feel anxious, when plans don't go your way, when people don't act as you hoped, when outcomes slip from your grip. Control feels safe. It gives the illusion that if you manage every variable, calculate every risk, and anticipate every threat, you won't get hurt. You'll be okay. You'll stay in control. But the world doesn't bend to your calculations. Life doesn't obey your spreadsheets. And the more you try to control, the more exhausted you become. Because life keeps moving, unpredictably, unreasonably, uncomfortably. The deeper truth? Control isn't peace. It's panic in disguise. And sometimes, the more you try to grip tighter, the more things fall apart. Jordan Peterson often says, chaos is what extends eternally beyond the boundaries of all states, all ideas, and all disciplines. Trying to control chaos doesn't eliminate it. It expands it inside you. You become the chaos you're trying to avoid. Anxiety isn't born from the storm itself. It's born from resisting the storm, denying it, pretending you're bigger than it. But you're not. And that's not weakness. That's reality. That's where surrender begins. Not giving up, not being passive, but accepting that you are finite and life is not. Surrender is not laziness. It's a different kind of strength. It's the strength to release what was never yours to manage. It's the courage to say, I will do my best, but I am not the master of the outcome. It's showing up to life, doing the work, making the effort, and then letting go of the need to force everything into your preferred shape. Surrender is not inaction. It's wise action, rooted in trust, not fear. It's accepting that your role is participation, not domination. And this is hard, especially if you've been taught to equate control with competence. Especially if your trauma taught you that the only way to feel safe is to keep everything and everyone in line. Especially if the chaos of your childhood convinced you that power equals protection. But here's the paradox. The tighter you cling, the more brittle you become. And the more you surrender, the more resilient you grow. Control builds walls. Surrender builds roots. Control isolates. Surrender connects. Control wants certainty. Surrender trusts the unknown. Control demands perfection. Surrender allows process. Control says, I must win. Surrender says, I will learn. Control is afraid of what could go wrong. Surrender is open to what might go right. One keeps you rigid, the other keeps you real. One keeps you in survival, the other invites you into transformation. Think about the last time life didn't go your way. Did you try to force the river? Did you panic, argue with reality, spiral into anger or despair because it didn't match your script? Or did you pause, breathe, adjust, listen? That moment tells you where you are in this tension between control and surrender. And that's the work, not choosing one and rejecting the other, but learning when to hold and when to release, when to lead and when to listen, when to act and when to wait. Jordan Peterson teaches the balance between order and chaos. Too much order is tyranny. Too much chaos is destruction. Control is an overreaction to chaos. Surrender is trust in the balance between the two. Control says, I must define every outcome. Surrender says, I trust that some outcomes will define me. Let's talk about healing. True healing does not come from controlling every trigger, every memory, every emotion. It comes from surrendering to the process, sitting with pain, not manipulating it away. Healing asks you to stop fixing yourself like a broken machine, and instead meet yourself with compassion, curiosity, and presence. Control wants to skip the uncomfortable chapters. Surrender lets them speak. Control says, let's erase this. Surrender says, let's understand this. That shift changes everything. And in relationships, control tries to shape the other person. Surrender lets them be who they are. Control demands certainty, loyalty, proof. Surrender invites vulnerability, dialogue, real connection. Control says, you must meet my expectations. Surrender says, I will love you as you are and grow beside you if we can. Control leads to resentment. Surrender leads to freedom. Not freedom to run away, but freedom to relate honestly, not from need, but from truth. And what about purpose? Control wants a 5-year plan, clear milestones, full assurance that the path will succeed. Surrender walks anyway. It follows the thread of what feels meaningful, even without guarantees. It shows up, it commits, it risks, because it knows that purpose is not found by force, it's revealed through faithfulness. Control asks, what if I fail? Surrender asks, what if this changes me in all the ways I need? Control is obsessed with outcomes. Surrender is devoted to becoming. So here you are, living a life that will never be fully predictable, manageable, controllable. You can spend your energy tightening every screw, checking every box, building a fortress around your heart. Or you can surrender to the wild, sacred, difficult beauty of being alive. You can let life change you, not just test you. You can soften instead of harden. You can breathe through it instead of bracing against it. This isn't an invitation to chaos. It's an invitation to humility, to reverence, to a posture that says, I will do the work, but I will not pretend to be God. And in that surrender, something holy happens. You find peace, not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer fighting everything that isn't. You find strength, not because you control every outcome, but because you trust yourself to handle whatever comes. You find clarity, not because you have all the answers, but because you've stopped resisting the questions. So today, again, control or surrender? Will you manipulate or will you move with integrity? Will you demand or will you discern? Will you fight the tide or learn to swim with grace? Will you dominate or will you trust? Will you shrink into fear or expand into faith? The question is yours. The path is yours. The becoming is yours. Control or surrender. Choose well.